You're muted, Ed.
Thank you. Welcome. Once again, I welcome you to weekly satsang. Vasilina, do blondes have more fun?
Yeah.
I don't want to admit or omit my statement that I love you all. I do. That's why I come each week. It's not to make money. It's not to gain more students. It's to give my love to you freely, as much as you can take. And I wanted to tell you one thing, actually several things. But Nisargadatta said in the end.
I need to close my sound.
We got some feedback from Belgium. That in the end, by the way, VJ, you have my blessings. In the end, even all of spirituality, spiritual practice, thinking about big things like God, our mission in life, what we want, how to stop the mind, what's deeper than the mind? Is the mind everything? What is God? Is God on our side? What is Brahman? What am I? Even after all these deep thoughts, Nisargadatta says they are only entertainment. We fill our lives with entertainments. Some go to work 40 hours a week and then come home and play pool or go to the gym and work out or go to a movie theater to watch a few stories. Some sit in front of the television set listening to MSNBC and CNN and listening to all the Trump stories. Some come home and just try to rest and watch all of their mind's tricks and entertainments. Some are overcome by feelings of fear, of entities or of other things escaping them. Some fear losing out on life and missing some sort of pleasure they could have had they done something else. But all the time our minds are filled with little stories, little plays, little daydreams. And what happens is we continue to live even during these daydreams, don't we? We daydream about everything. A new love affair, the death of an enemy, a new job, a new place to live, a place we can find freedom or peace, get away from noise, stay with a lover. Maybe we have a new business. We are successful. We become president of the United States and everything changes under our rule. But we all daydream so much. We think about women. We think about men. We think about sex. We think about eating. We think about planning what to have for dinner or what to have 3 days from now or opening a restaurant. all the while, all day long. We work at our job or having no job, and our mind keeps going and going and going and going and going and entertaining us. And Nisargadatta said, in the end, even all the spiritual activities we do, all the meditation, all the cogitation about planes of existence, astral worlds, God, our own true self, our false self, what Ramana said, what Nisargadatta said, what Musica says, they're really not important. What is important is there a constant radio show or TV show going on in our mind that entertains us. And should that show stop, we suddenly feel very alone. We feel depressed. The entertainment stopped and we're alone. We're not living with somebody, or we're living with a stranger. It seems that we live for that constant entertainment of the mind talking to us, ordering us around, giving us something to do, something to hope for, something to wish for. This morning, I woke up very early, 3 a.m., which is highly unusual for me to wake up that early. But then I forced myself back to sleep. And something happened. My mind became like a rock. Just like I talk about in deep meditation before the mind falls away and you're in the emptiness, in the void. And whose microphone is on? Chris. Anyway, something happened. A big TV movie opened up in me that lasted for 5 hours, constantly between 3 o'clock and 8:30. It was the most magnificent dream I ever had. It was filled with everything. Mansions, visits to the seaside, getting lost in a big city, trying to find my way back, love, sex, all kinds of missions in life. And it showed me clearly the kinds of dreams that I had been entertaining myself with all my life. A magnificent love that would solve everything. A job where I had a purpose in life. A place that I could live that I feel comfortable in. Very comfortable in, with lots of space. And all kinds of things like that. The kinds of daydreams I had had most of my life about ideal relationships or non-ideal relationships, and it went on and on. It was like War and Peace and several other great movies all put together. Everything was so real. The apartments was so real. The mansions were so real. The lovers were so real. The job was so real. My tiredness was infinite in the dream because it reflected the weight in my head. My head was like a rock and no thoughts could come but this constant movie that gripped my attention like nothing else. And even at 8:30 when I was waking up, it didn't want to leave. It wanted to stay in the dream, in the entertainment. I wanted to find out how it ended or how it continued. I didn't want it to end at all. But I saw completely. It was like a revelation to me. The thing that I've been teaching for months now, that everything is story. And how I was totally trapped in the story in my mind, in my sleep, as a great, great lesson of just how it works. the story. What is your story? We all have stories, missions in life, pleasures to have, relationships to seek, loves to be had to cure us or to make us explode with ecstasy. Do we have a dream of self-realization, of understanding the nature of God in our own selves, of becoming our true self, of understanding the meaning of mind, of understanding all the words of Ramana, of Aurobindo, all these different tales in our minds, some of entities and demons or angels in heaven and hells, of life ever after, of Krishna consciousness or Christ consciousness, of utter devotion and surrender to either a guru, to God, or to another person? Do we have dreams of the best food possible? Do we have dreams of flying through the air like an angel? What kind of dreams entertain us all the time and force us away from living as we are seeing what we are? The dreams are everything. The dreams are everywhere. The dreams capture our attention. We don't even want to leave them, and sometimes we want to leave them, but we leave them for what? And here's a key point. Who is seeing those dreams? Who is entertaining them? Are the dreams happening spontaneously with no viewer? Or are we totally captured by those dreams, whoever and whatever we are? Of course we're captured by them, but what is captured? Is there an eye there that watches the dreams, that is absorbed in the dreams? What creates the dream process? What sustains it? What maintains our attention in the dreams? What makes us feel so captivated by the daydreams and the things we think we love? Yet we look for the observer, but we can never find the observer. For the observer is not a thing. It is not a witness. A witness implies a single thing. A witness implies a point of view, perhaps of the Atman or Brahman, the single God or the single consciousness looking out through our body. But that itself is just an idea. Then we begin to realize that all we ever are ideas, are the stories. Even the story that there is a witness, that there is a subject, that deep down inside, God is looking out into the universe through us, is just another story. In the end, it's all entertainment. Therefore, some teachers say, there's nothing to be done, nothing to be had, nothing to be obtained, nowhere to go, nothing to do. But that's just another story. It's the story of stories, like I'm telling you now. It's all stories. There's nothing more. There's nothing more. There's nothing more than these fantasies. The only thing other than this is to grasp the fantasy process and rest in yourself and let the stories go on as they want. but don't be moved by them. Don't be disturbed by them. Don't be caught by them. What you are is not the stories ultimately, but the experience of the stories. But the experience of the stories does not imply an experiencer. There's just the experience. So you can choose to, whoever you are. Focus on the stories. Maintain an attention on the stories. Or focus on what you're doing in life, such as eating, moving, driving, going from one thing to another. It's up to you. But here's a different story that helps you a little understand what's going on, but is not to be taken seriously. No matter how much you look inside of yourself for the witness and the looker for the witness, you will never find it. It will evade your discovery, because all that you'll ever discover are stories. But you will notice this as an overview. You have 5 or 6 senses. You can smell, taste, touch, hear, see, intuit. Each of these is a different function, performed by different senses, and being administered by an executive, you might say. A process that determines what we focus on, what we pay attention to and attend to. Besides this, we have an ability to write, an ability to think, an ability to observe, an ability to make great speeches, to create great movies, to become a good athlete or a great athlete, to become a good golfer, to be able to judge space and time in order to determine how to jump or play up with a ball. We have all of these attributes, all of these excellencies that are within us. The ability to speak, the ability to sing songs that move people, the ability to appreciate art, the ability to appreciate a movie for its message or its entertainment, the ability to appreciate music or to create music. We can do so many, many, many things, but the ability to create is not visible. It cannot be found. The ability to listen cannot be found. The ability to compose a song cannot be found. The singer cannot be found. We can only sing. The listener cannot be found, except first thing in the morning when somebody calls out your name. Vesselina, Michael, Angela, Rolf, and deep down somewhere in your gut, you feel a movement, an arousal, and you know that you've been summoned. That's the closest you can ever come from finding a witness, a center, a self, an I. The other things are spread out all over. The other things, all the different abilities you have, the knacks you have, the precision you have, the ability to judge space and time, all of these are spread out all over. And this is where what Nisargadatta said becomes even more true. The self is like a city. It's no one thing. It's many things. It's its million people individually. It's the houses. It's the real estate. It's the piping system, the gas system, the water system. It's the electricity. It's the power plant. It's the new hotel. It's the airport. It's the microwaves flowing through the air in the city. It's the people that are dreaming and the people that are awake working. It's the people that are fighting in some house somewhere about some daily task that they disagree with. There's the violence we find in the back alleys somewhere, someone being robbed. All of these things constitute the city. Let's say Los Angeles. So when you say the word Los Angeles, it doesn't point to any one thing. It points to thousands of things that can't be seen and can be seen. This is how the self is. The word self goes deeper than you've ever gone before and points to things you can never see, like your abilities to hear, to feel, to taste, to get angry, to feel anger, to shout out, to feel love, to feel absorbed in love, to feel absorbed in surrender and total devotion, to see God and fall at God's feet in utter surrender, or your guru's feet, or your lover's feet in utter surrender. All these things you can do, and some seem very deep and others feel not so deep, but they're all you. Everything is you, in a sense. Even those deepest things that you can do. The collective we call the self is everything, everywhere. It's the source, and yet at the same time, it's the movie. It's the screen, but also the movie. It's the knower and the know. All of these things are just experiences. And what goes on behind those experiences, what puts all those experiences together, what makes them make sense, all the different attributes and intelligence that put everything together is us, but can never be known because it is the knower. And the knower can't know itself, because the self is not one thing. It's an eon of things. It's a billion things that are not things, really, but are talents, are abilities, are subjective and objective. Witness and beyond witness. Witness is only an idea, part of one story. That which creates witness and creates stories is beyond understanding, beyond being found, different from this dimension. And even that idea is part of another story. The story of transcendence, of going beyond experience into the non-experience world, of imagination and intuition. It's all ultimately entertainment. Do you get that, Stevie? This is the deepest truth. There's nothing there except entertainment. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, except enjoy the show or go deeper and deeper into the show. Do you get that, Michael? So, the highest truth is that it's all entertainment. And the thing to ask now is, what does this truth do for you? And do you really believe this truth? Very interestingly, Ramesh Sekar was asked about what he got from Nisargadatta after all those years of being together with him. And he said, what it does is relaxes you. You realize there's nowhere to go. All ideas are just stories, whether about Bhagavan, Ramana, about Nisargadatta, about the Atman, or Brahman, or Brahmananda, or transcendence, or samadhi, or enlightenment, or being a stage actor, or a daydreamer, or a flight attendant, or the pilot in a major airline. It's just story. It's just story. And the sum of wisdom is to realize it's just story. And when you realize it's all story, everything is story. Your own existence is story. It's just scenes passing by your eyes, your inner eye. Judgments you make. This is important. This is not important. Being spiritual is important. Knowing God is important. Surrendering to God is important. Being a good husband is important. Being a good wife is important. Learning how to surrender is important. A good house is important for independence. Having a good income is important for self-esteem. Being beautiful is important to gain recognition, to gain attention. All of these things are just ways you entertain yourself all day long, all night long. Getting a PhD so that you can retire, and then finding out retirement is not going to be a possibility. All of these things are entertainments, worries to keep you going and up at night. It's all entertainment. There's nothing to do, nothing to be had, nothing to escape except to realize it's all story. And what do you make of that? What do you make of that? You're a story maker and a story viewer. Words catch you. Stories catch you and make you live according to certain tales. But when you realize it's all story, in a sense, you go beyond being caught. You can just rest quiet in yourself, maybe playing with stories. Like a composer plays with sounds and creates tunes and melodies. You become a magician. You can make up stories for others. You make up stories of love and you become known as a great poet. You make up stories of movies and can become known as a great director or producer or writer. You make up stories to make others feel better or to feel worse. And the thing is, once you realize you're immersed in the story, also immersed in Shakti. It gives you an ability to move Shakti according to the stories, because Shakti is blind. It follows attention. And when you create a story, Shakti follows those stories. Trump has created a big story. That seems to attract over 100 million Americans to follow that story. They all actively follow that story. The other stories we have are what I call the mundane world, and what Michael might call the deep state's world, created by the deep state. This is just another story. This is a story of the ordinary world, or of Angela's new apartment in the Holland backside somewhere, with a new job in a new mundane world. It's Vesselina's recent hounding by ghosts and entities. It's just a story. We all have the story. A lot of people like the story of entities and ghosts and demons and angels and heaven and hell and the fight between good and bad. When it's just a show, it's just an idea. Nobody can prove it because everything is just story. One story contradicts another story. There's nothing there. There's no substance anywhere. While you're alive, you're a story generator and believer until you escape it by seeing there's just stories. And what do you do now? You can just sit and relax and watch the stories until you have to get up and do something because your body needs to eat or go to the bathroom. Maybe you can live in a little yellow box on a street somewhere without possessions for food. You can wander the countryside as a mendicant, knowing nothing means anything. There's no truth to be found anywhere. And the closest thing you come to it is the peace of doing nothing and just watching the stories. This is the song of life. All that life is singing songs, being bewitched by songs and singing different songs, dissident songs, songs of strife, songs of battle, songs of resistance, songs of revolution, or songs of peace and harmony, of empire, of divine love, or the sweetest human love, of love for our children, imaginary or real. It's all story. There's nothing there but story. What to do now? What to do now? What to do now? If you relax and surrender to the story, you're free. You're free. You know it's just a story. Let's play with the story. You're free to become a playwright or to do nothing but be the observer. But now you've grasped the fundamental principle of life, that it's all play. And you can just sit and be an audience, or you can be a player in the audience, realizing it's a play and it's your play. But it's just a play. Handle it like a plaything, like an author handles its story, full of detail, full of attention, but knowing it's not life, it's play. Everything is play. You're free from any kinds of needs to do anything except keep yourself alive. And if that doesn't bother you anymore, you can let yourself die. Like so many deeply spiritual beings have. They said, fuck this. And they go into a room and are never heard from again. The greatest stories we hear are of saints that go into a cave and say, my mission is complete. Do not disturb. They don't give them food or anything like that. And they're no more. They just die that way, or they just get absorbed into the ether. The stories evaporate. The stories are not tangible. The self is not tangible. It's like a city. It can't be grasped or understood. None of it is visible. It's talent. The playwright, the audience, the mystic. All these abilities are the realest you can get. And then it's only to be able to carry on the play or just and be absorbed by the play. This is the highest teachings. This is the teachings that are so hard to grasp. I love you all with all my heart, with all my soul, and that's part of my play. The love I have for you and the love you have for me, I hope. And the siddhas I can grant to you, the energies I can grant to you, the Shakti I can give you and teach you how to use to enhance whatever play you're in. Shakti itself is play. In the book, his first book, his autobiography, is The Play of Consciousness. And you are that play. And consciousness is also independent, but that's part of the story too. It's all mental stuff. It's all mental stuff. But we can use that mental stuff to impact the world with very creative stories, creative ways of doing things in the imaginal world of Shakti, of story. Let's have a few moments of silence, and then we'll have questions and answers.